I've got something really cool to show you guys here today. If you own and use suppressors, particularly if you train with those suckers, then you've burnt the piss out of yourself. And if you haven't yet, don't worry, your day is coming. It will eventually happen to you. And they get deceptively hot very quickly. And before you know it, you've touched it to your leg or other extremity and you've seared the flesh right there. So what we've got here in front of us is the Kryon from Guntology. This is a suppressor shroud that is designed to keep you away from the hot bits on this thing, but also do it in such a way that it doesn't trap the heat in. A lot of the suppressor covers that are out there that I've seen previously are made out of some kind of like rubber material that shrouds the whole device, or some kind of heat resistant fabric. And those are really good for like cutting down on mirage and stuff like that, particularly if we're doing like precision work or something like that. But they often exacerbate the heat problem with this suppressor and lock that in. As you can see, this is designed for maximum surface area while also balancing protection for the end user. Its prime function is to keep you away from the forbidden popsicle. Now, what's interesting about this is that it can grow depending on the size of your device. This little bit here at the front can be removed and a different module can be added depending on the length of your device. It can also be flipped around depending on where your mount is. So this one is specifically designed for the Surefire. And as you can see here, I still have access to my locking mechanism back here. And I can access this, and if I want to, I can get that can off. Maybe it's a serviceable can, maybe it's not a serviceable can, but I have access to it without a whole lot of trouble. I don't have to take the whole suppressor cover off just to get to it, although it wouldn't be all that difficult to get off. There are a couple different variants of this device, and we're going to be looking at two of them here today. And I guess what we're going to do now is go out to the range and test this sucker. It has been some time since I've fired this weapon. To the point where I forgot to put a bolt carrier group in it. Shall we try that again? It has been some time since I have fired this weapon. So we're going to go ahead and make sure that this is nice and lubed up with the help of Otis, and we're going to test fire this thing. Yeah, we'll accept that as a good ejection pattern. All right, so what the test is I'm told that I can fire an entire magazine and be able to touch the shroud. We're gonna do it with a glove first in case this company is punking me, but I don't know why they would just outright lie to me, but maybe just to... All right, full magazine. Let's see what happens. Whew. You know, I'm not usually one to complain about the gassiness of cans, but whew, that one was pretty gassy. All right, so full magazine. Huh. Look at that. Yeah, I mean, I can obviously feel the heat of the can underneath, so I'm a little bit hesitant, but yeah, I can totally touch this with my bare hand. Shall we do a second? Number two, and I can even feel more heat from the handguard than I do up here. And actually, while I'm thinking about it, we're going to turn this gas down a little bit, just to not eat it so much. Yeah, that was considerably more pleasant. Well, I could feel something through the glove there. Yeah. That's fine. Now, I can't hold my hand there for a long period of time because it's like standing too close to the fire, right? Like, you're not... You ever, like, stand there and, like, your jeans get hot or something like that? Like, the temperature is, like, too hot here for me to, like, hover my hand on it, right? But I can totally touch this and it's fine. It's just I've violated the no-go zone as far as, like, the actual forbidden popsicle and it's radiating heat. But this itself is just fine. Rolling back in for just a point of context, I can do this no problem. But this, I can deal with it, but I can feel it building, right? But back here at the barrel nut, yeah, that's like almost like I can't hold the gun here, right? So it's actually more bearable to touch this than it is this or this. I gotta say, it's kind of impressive, I'm not gonna lie. There are a couple different variants of the Kryon. This one that we've covered thus far works with any kind of unit that has a locking mechanism here at the rear that you want access to. And it can also work with any kind of direct thread or anything like that. But they also make one, for instance, for the hub mount. So if you wanted to use your hub mounts and have that interface exterior to the Kryon, then that is able to be done. For instance, I have this set up in a chemo mount that uses the hub interface. And this isn't really applicable because you operate a chemo mount from the front like this. But interestingly, I bet that if I rock set this junction here, then I bet that I can operate this chemo mount by attacking the Kryon. Right now it's just loosely fitted, and I would assume that this thread is going to rotate, but we're going to go out to the range here in a minute and try this one out. And before we do that, I'm going to rock set this into place so that if I get this thing a little bit hot, then I'll be able to operate the chemo with the H-mount from the Kryon itself. So I think that this is a really good example of why you might want the Kryon unit forward of the mount. And on this BRN 180, there is very, very little space in front of the handguard. Like, I can barely get a wrench in there as it is, and having this extra profile in there might be problematic in some situations, but you know, most of the time encapsulating the whole thing isn't a problem. This one might be a little bit tight, but anyway, what I have here is just 10 rounds of 300 blackout. This is full powered stuff. I'm not trying to get this thing smoking hot. I just want to heat it up a little bit because you're not getting that thing apart when it's burning hot anyway, because these mounts, they expand and they seize up when they're really hot. But when they're just moderately hot, well, usually you can get the thing apart with a little bit of manipulation. So we just want to give it a little bit and then see if we can get the thing apart via the Kryon. Here we go. Let's see here. Okay. Negative. It was worth a shot. Steel, aluminum. And it's kind of important that the Kryon is made out of aluminum for its heat dissipating properties. The thing is, I have this gift slash curse where I will destroy everything. And when I've got steel, aluminum, I try to treat it a little bit more, I don't want to say kid glove, but a little bit more friendly than I would if everything was made out of steel, because I don't want to destroy it before I'm actually done with it. And what happened here is, although I gave it some love, I didn't man bear pig this thing together. And if I can show you what's going on here, there's just a little bit of play between the hub mount and the hub interface on the can, and that channel where this rides, not enough interference in there, and it's not picking it up. So this interface, this junction is solid where it's been rock setted, but it is spinning in that channel. But if I were to give this thing a little bit of torsion on it, it comes right off. So I guess what I would say is, this is a device that is designed for use on the weapon. It's supposed to protect you from it. As far as QD mounts and stuff like that are concerned, a lot of people think that they're like these super James Bondy things. Not really. They're not designed to come on and off of a gun when you've got it in use. It's more like everything is kind of like sitting there and it's time to swap things out for the day at the beginning, or maybe at lunchtime or something like that. You want to move it around. It's not really meant to fire like 50 rounds through it and then shift it to a different weapon. That's not what it's really designed to do. And I would say that the Kryon is there to protect you during that process. Having this exposed mount does not bother me. Having it enclosed doesn't bother me. I can see the pros and the cons for both of it. When I burn myself with a can, it's usually at this end, or maybe in the middle. The only time I ever burn myself on a mount is when I'm doing something stupid, and from my perspective, those are things that you probably shouldn't be doing on the range anyway, unless you've got some kind of major problem and you got to swap it to something else. So what I was doing with trying to remove this mount while the thing was on isn't really that applicable, but I would say that if they wanted to make it more capable of doing that and more idiot-proof, there are a few drilled ports back here on the Kryon, and it would be very easy to insert some kind of strut in there that directly interfaces with the tool ports on the actual mount itself. And that would be a case-by-case basis depending on what kind of mount you're using. This is obviously a chemo, which is different than some of the other things that are out there, but they have at least created the capacity to put that in there, and it's really just coming up with some additional hardware that interfaces with all the different mounts if the mount has the capability of doing that. But anyway, that's really my only critique. I am pretty impressed with the performance of this thing in keeping you from absolutely hurting yourself. So I think that enhancing that aspect of it, regardless of how careful you are, eventually you're going to do something when you're not paying attention. You're going to get burned by one of these things. And this is the thing that could very likely give you a second chance. So check out the Kryon. Special thanks to them for sending this thing out for testing, and hopefully we'll see you on another one here at the VSO Gun Channel.